All right, what's up, Facebook family? Welcome back to another high yield, simple application psychology hack video for you. So the first one that I made, my first Facebook Live ever, was a little over a week ago, and got a lot of support from that, and a lot of questions, a lot of people interacting with me, and I've noticed that the way Facebook Lives make me feel, my heart rate increases a little bit, and I feel a little nervous. And so I love that. I love that sensation of being alive. And so I figured I'm going to keep doing these things. Let's keep these things rolling. And so almost 2 weeks ago, on that first video, I was talking about the 4 A's of creating sustainable change. And we were talking about as it relates to our environment and our triggers and how things affect us externally, and how we're able to kind of mitigate those things and move away from those things. Hey, Holly, what's up? So the 4 A's in review, and I added the 4th myself. This is from a great book that I referenced there. And I'll link that video in the comments here so you guys can watch that one if you want. The 4 A's are anticipation, so understanding that your environment is not for you, that all day we're constantly getting dragged down, and at some point, we're going to make poor choices or have a higher likelihood to do that throughout the day. And then avoidance is the 2nd A. So if we know there's an environment that doesn't serve us, we can avoid that environment, right? We can stay away from it. If it's, I think the example I use is going out to drinks with the boys or whatever it is something that you can change or mitigate. And so that was the 2nd A. And then the 3rd A is if you're not able to avoid an environment, so if like you work, and the environment where you work is a place that really triggers you, then not able to avoid that environment, then you make an adjustment. And what you do is adjust your behavior inside that environment so that the environment no longer affects you the way that it used to, and you start to control your environment. And then the 4th A was acceptance and understanding that we're not always going to do things perfectly. We're going to fail from time to time. Well, I got to thinking about that 3rd A, adjustment, and what that means and how we can actually adjust our behavior, because that really is the crux of creating change and then keeping change happening, right, is to adjust our behavior. Well, that really is kind of the money spot. And so one of the modules that I teach my clients talks about something called the habit loop, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So essentially, psychology says you cannot break bad habits. You can't. And this is very well researched in the literature. But what we can do is modify behaviors. And the reason we can't break bad habits is because we can't control our environment, and we need a specific reward. And so to go backwards a little bit and break this down for you guys, a habit has 3 components. So we have the cue, which is the trigger in our environment. This can be social, this can be even internal, so thoughts of fear or frustration, anxiety, sadness, depression, loneliness. It could be something external like donuts or whatever the case may be that we see every Tuesday at work when they bring in donuts every Tuesday. And so that's our cue, our external cue. And then there's the routine. And the routine is some type of action or behavior or thought process or something that we do knowingly. And then there is the reward. And there's the reason that we actually do the routine. And so cues are always all around us. The routine is something that we try on for size to see how it feels. And then the reward that we receive tells our brain, hey, that was good, that was worth it. Let's do that one again. We're going to remember that. Okay, and to break this down on a very basic neuroscientific level, each thought that we have creates a neurotransmitter release, right? And neurotransmitters are just little signaling molecules that tell one part of our body another piece of information to another part of our body and tells us what to do. And so when we have a thought, a neurotransmitter is released, that leads to either a hormone or some kind of peptide release, and it gives us some kind of action to do, okay? Well, the more we do that thing over time, the more neurons speak to each other. And so this is Hebb's law from 1949, old school neuroscience information. Neurons that fire together wire together. So the more we do a routine based on a cue, the more we're going to fire and wire these same neurons inside the brain, right? And that actually structurally changes our brain. And so the brain actually becomes a different shape. More nerves speak to each other. And so we have these complex nerves that remember something. And then the more we do it, it becomes a habit, right? And so A thought becomes a behavior, becomes a habit, and that changes the shape of your brain. And so this is the action portion of the habit loop. So we have the cue from the outside, we have our routine, and then we have our reward. And so the reward is something that we're always going to want. The cue is something that we can't always change. And so that third A, adjustment, how we actually adjust that, we change our routine, okay? And there was a study actually that demonstrated the efficacy of this. This is why Alcoholics Anonymous applies, and Alcoholics Anonymous is very well researched program, very well put together, lots of scientific literature behind that program, and there are a lot of reasons for the action that they have in that group. One of the reasons that they have nightly groups or meetup sessions is because people cannot avoid work. They can't avoid their job. Alcoholics can't avoid the cues to add stress to their lives. So what they have to do is find a new routine, a new behavior to get them the reward of not feeling lonely any longer, to get them the reward of feeling catharsis and release and forgetting about the day. And so the cue stays the same. They're stressed out at work, they go to a place they don't like, they have to deal with traffic, whatever the case may be. A lot of us can relate to that. But the routine changes. Instead of drinking alcohol to socialize and forget about things and get that dopamine squirt, they actually go to a meeting, connect with other people. They have more of like a serotonin type experience with that. And then the reward remains the same. They still are able to have this enjoyable interaction, forget about the day, and live a healthier life through that, okay? So that's an example of how we can use something called habit replacement. We can't break bad habits because we're not in control of everything around us. What we are in control of is the way that we behave in the situations that we're constantly being inundated with. And so practical application for you, something you can do to take this home and actually use it in your everyday life. What this looks like is for you to get clear about your triggers in your environment, right? Get clear about what is causing you to embark in or participate in behaviors that don't serve you, that don't make you happy, that make you feel frustrated or disempowered or whatever the case may be. Identify those very clearly. So either in your mind or on paper, I suggest on paper, in your iPhone, whatever, identify situations where you're going to be facing things that are challenging for you. Okay, step number 2, identify the reward. What is the back end that you are gaining from participating in that type of behavior? So for example, with Alcoholics Anonymous, they're stressed out at work. Their cue, their trigger, the front end of the habit is being at work, dealing with traffic, dealing with the boss they don't like, whatever it is. And then the reward on the back end, the second part for them, if they were writing this out, would be like forgetting about work, feeling connected to other people, feeling a sense of happiness and joy and satisfaction. And so then what we can do is we have the front end and the back end, and the routine is what we're in control of. And so identify your routine that's not serving you, whatever it might be, and rewrite a routine that can get you the same reward, but is empowering. And something that gives you an ability to move in a healthier direction, something that makes you feel good. And so this is how we create change. This is how we create the adjustment of our environment by starting internally. So we get very clear about what a habit is. We can't break it, but we can adjust it, and how to adjust it, and then go apply it in your life, right? So quick video today, just wanted to outline some pointers for you to help you out as you're trying to navigate a world that's full of triggers, media, garbage, people trying to sell you stuff, so much inundation from all this stuff that is constantly drawing us down and participating in ego depletion, which I could make a whole separate video on. Lots of different modalities and tricks and tips you can use and hacks, if you will, to help you through the process of creating change. And that's what I'm about. And so hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you want like a specific help with a situation that you're dealing with, you're not sure how to rewrite a routine or whatever the case may be, you ask your loved ones, ask people around you who see this objectively from a distance, like, hey dude, this is what you're doing. This is not, this is not serving you. I think you already know this. But when we start to write this stuff out, we become more and more clear about it, okay? And if you want, you can actually drop me a line and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Would love a little bit of guidance or clarity or something like that. In my last video, I mentioned how coaches, you can see things from a distance, and people who really have your best interest at heart can really keep you accountable to that change. And so if you need help rewriting a new routine, let me know. message me, or I can even add a link to my private calendar if you want. You can click on that. We can jump on a call and talk about how we can get you to create more sustainable change in your life and to make things actually stick. Make change stick and happen, really, right? Because that's what we're really all about. So awesome. I'm having fun making myself uncomfortable in these videos, and I really love this information. And so that part of it, once I get talking, it is easy, but I'm sweating a little. My heart rate's still up a little. So thank you for joining. And if anybody is interested in learning more about change or psychology, I have tons of information on nutrition as well. Nutrition is my jam. Comment and let me know if there's something that you'd like me to make a video on, and I'd be happy to explore that subject. And I'd be happy to see if I can create some content. Chances are good I have something on it if it has to do with nutrition, hormones, movement, mindset. Those are my big guys. And so anyway, love y'all, family. Thanks for tuning in again for another Facebook Live. I'll keep them coming. Let me know how I can support you. Like I said, private message me, click on the link or whatever, and we'll get things rolling. All right. Take care, family. Be well.